Do you want to know how to draw fur? Well, I'm going to show you 4 of my best tips for how I draw fur, and stick till the end for my #1 bonus tip on all forms of realism art. Coming up. Drawing fur can be quite tricky and tedious, so in this video I'd like to share with you my 4 tips for achieving realistic fur. The first tip is to make sure your strokes are the appropriate length that the fur is supposed to be. So in other areas, by down the nose, you're going to see shorter fur. So as I start that area, you want just little strokes. You don't want anything huge. Whereas up by the eye, the fur is much longer. And even so, right here, the fur isn't going to be as long as it is below the eye. And making things look realistic, you want to make sure that you get the fur length accurate, or it'll throw off the whole thing, especially on a face. The second tip is to draw very lightly, strokes in the direction the fur is supposed to go. Doing this creates like a map, so to say, for you to follow in the final steps. I find that doing this saves me so much time and mental strain, takes one thing out of the equation, so all I have to focus on is adding more values to the work. So I've already done that with the eye. I'm just taking a 2H pencil and lightly going over and creating sort of a map of which direction the fur is going before I do anything else. And I'm not drawing hard, I'm not pressing hard, just light. Because all I want to see is on different parts of the dog where that fur goes, so that I don't have to pay attention so much to this later and just focus on how dark or light certain areas are for my values. The third tip is to draw strokes over your map strokes in a darker lead. I usually go for a 4B. This is creating shadows in the fur, so make sure you do enough, but not too much. You can always go back over it and add more if need be. You want to make sure you go in the direction that the fur is supposed to be, always. And I'm not pushing very hard. What I've got here is a 4B in a mechanical pencil. It says 2B, but I have 4B lead in here because the wheel only goes to 2B. The fourth tip is to fill in the whites of the paper with an H lead. Draw irregular strokes, maybe even scribble a bit. It doesn't have to be perfect. So I'm taking an H pencil, going through and darkening those white areas between where I just put the shadows. So there are the 4 tips. Let me just share my number 1 bonus tip, and that is to think of everything you draw or paint as only shapes. Do not think of them as the items or objects that they are by definition, because that'll just throw you off. Well, you think a dog has fur. Well, I know how to draw fur. You just draw lines. Look at a reference photo. What you're drawing isn't going to be the same as the photo, and if you draw every individual hair, you're going to go crazy trying to do it. So you need to get in the habit of thinking of everything as shapes. How light or dark those shapes are, as well as fur. When you're working with fur, you should be thinking about the fur as shapes. Maybe it's just a hairy shape. So for instance, I'm working on the area on the brow here, above the eye, and I'm thinking about what kind of shape it has with fur. I'm not thinking about each individual hair. I'm making my strokes in hairs, or the direction hair would go. So there you have it. If you would like to see my tips and tricks in action, you can check out my time-lapse Labrador video. I will link that up in the YouTube card as well as in the description below. So my question for today is, what are some of your tips and tricks for drawing fur? Let me know in the comments below. Thanks for checking out this video. Be sure to subscribe for more videos just like this.